Good day, students. The lesson today is ratio and proportion. Let us have our practice number 1. The figure tells us that 1 in every 3 squares are black, while the rest are white. So therefore, if there is 1 black, there are 2 white squares. If there are 2 black squares, there are 4 white squares. Try to find out how the pattern of number goes, or what was the number multiplied. Then complete the table. Your 30 seconds starts now. Let us have another practice. This time there are green and yellow circles. Let us compare the color's quantity and its relationship to one another by finding out the pattern of the numbers. Your 1 minute starts now. Congratulations to those who answered correctly. Let's proceed now to study and learn number 1. The introduction part shows how to compare two things or quantities. In practice 1, you compare the black squares to the white squares, while in practice 2, you compare the green circles to yellow circles. This concept is called ratio. Let us further study this with our activity number 1. In Mrs. De La Rosa's grade 6 math class, there are 22 girls and 19 boys. Question number 1. What is the ratio of girls to boys? Okay, so you are correct. That's 22 is to 19. Next question. What is the ratio of boys to girls? Okay, 19 is to 22. Next question. What is the ratio of girls to the number or to the total number of students? That's 22 is to 41. Based on your answers, how many ways can we write ratio? Okay, correct. We have 3 ways to write ratio. Identify the ways of writing a ratio. Refer to your answers in numbers 1 to 3. Write the letter of the correct answer on the blank. Okay, so number 1, that is letter B. We call it as the word form. Number 2, that is C. We call it as a colon form because we are using colon. And number 3, that's letter A, which is the fraction form. So those are the three ways in writing a ratio. We have the fraction form, we have the word form, and the colon form. Remember this, ratio is a comparison of two things or quantities. It can be written in three ways. We have the colon form, the fraction form, and the word form. Study and learn too. Since we have learned that ratio is a comparison of two quantities, let us now find out the term we use when we compare ratios. To find out if they are equal, we need to know if the extremes and the means are the same. The extremes are the terms or numbers written on the leftmost and rightmost part. In this example, the extremes are 1 and 14. The means are the term or numbers written inside. In this example, the means are 2 and 7. Let us multiply the extremes, then the means. As what you are seeing, they have the same product. So it means they are equal or proportional to one another. If the ratio is written in fraction form, you just get the cross. If the product of the extremes and the means are same, the two ratios are called proportional to each other. They are also called proportion. Proportion is the comparison of two equal ratios. Activity number 2. Write a check mark if the two ratios being compared are proportional and an X mark if not on the space before the number. For number 1 and number 2, you just multiply the means and the extreme, then find out if they are proportional or not. In number 3, change it first to colon form or in fraction form, then find out if they are proportional. In number 4, since they are written in fraction form, you just have to know the cross product.
Study and learn 3 kinds of proportion. We have 3 kinds of proportion: direct, indirect or inverse, and partitive proportion. This is a proportion that when one term increases, the other term also increases and vice versa. What happens to the term, also happens to the other term. Example 1 is a direct proportion. 3 was multiplied by 2. Therefore 4 should also be multiplied by 2. What happens to digit 3 should also happen to digit 4. The cross products are the same and the product of the means and extremes are the same, forming proportion. Example 2. To find the missing term in a proportion we can use algebra method or means extremes method. 2:4 equals 3:x. X represents the missing number. Using the algebraic equation, multiply 2 and x, which is the extremes, as well as 4 and 3, which is the means. To retain x, we need to divide 2 by 2. You will also do the same with the other because it is an equation. 2x divided by 2 is x because 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 can be omitted or removed in algebraic equation. So what remains is x. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Therefore x equals 6. To check, just cross multiply. If the answer is the same, you are correct. 4 times 3 is 12 and 6 times 2 is 12 also. Means extremes method. Step 1 is to multiply the complete term. In the example, the complete term is the means, which is 4 and 3. Multiply 4 by 3. It is equals to 12. Step 2 is to divide the answer by the remaining number, which is 2. Divide 12 by 2, the answer is 6. Replace x by 6, then check if the product of the means and the extremes are correct. Solving direct proportion word problem through table method. There are 120 families in the evacuation center consumed 1,500 kilograms of donated rice for 3 weeks. If there were only 1,000 kilograms of NFA rice, how long will the families consume this volume of rice? Not all numbers that you see are part of the given facts. Like this one, 120 families are not included on the numbers that we will use. Make a table with 3 columns and 2 rows like this. Then write the 2 quantities that will be compared. In the problem we will compare kilograms of rice and number of weeks. Write the given data. 1,500 kilograms is to 3 weeks. 1,000 kilograms is to unknown number. Let the unknown number be x. You can also use other letters if you want. Multiply 1,000 by 3, then divide it by 1,500. The answer is only 2 weeks. Let us analyze the answer. 1,500 kilos have decreased to 1,000 kilos, therefore the answer should also be a decrease in the number of weeks. 3 weeks became 2 weeks. Cross-multiply it to check. Indirect or inverse proportion. This is a proportion that when one term increases the other term decreases and vice versa. What happens to the terms is opposite from the other. Solving inverse proportion through colon form method. It takes Robin 20 minutes to ride his bicycle at 20 km/h from home to grocery store. To shorten his travel time to 16 minutes for the same distance, how fast should he cycle? If Robin wants to shorten his travel time, he needs to ride his bike faster than 20 km/h. Let us put the data in colon form. Step 1. Position the complete data on the means position. The complete data are 20 minutes and 20 km/h. Step 2. Position the remaining data on the extremes position as well as the unknown data. The remaining data is 16 minutes and the unknown data is the speed. Let x be the unknown data. Step 3. Solve the same as finding the missing number in a proportion. 20 times 20 is 400. 400 divided by 16 is 25. The answer is 25 kilometers per hour. Partitive proportion. From the word partition, this proportion is usually used if there is a whole that will be divided into parts, proportional to the given ratio. Solving partitive proportion word problem through fraction form. A glass of jar has 64 chocolates. Peppa, Dave, and Ray will share the chocolates in the ratio 1:1:2. How many chocolates will each one of them get? Step 1. Add the ratio, then put the partition and the sum as ratio in fraction form. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. So the ratio are the following. 1:4, 1:4, and 2:4. Step 2. The sum of the ratio represents the whole, therefore the digit 4 represents 64 chocolates. Compare the partition to unknown number is to 64. Let's solve the partition for Peppa. Multiply the complete term. 1 times 64 equals 64. 64 divided by 4 is 16. 16 chocolates are for Peppa. Step 3. Solve the partition for Dave. Since they have the same partition, just duplicate the solution for Peppa. Multiply the complete term. 1 times 64 equals 64. 64 divided by 4 is 16. 16 chocolates are also for Dave. Step 4. Solve the partition for Ray. Multiply the complete term. 2 times 64 equals 128. 128 divided by 4 is 32. 32 chocolates are for Ray. Step 5. Check the answers using table. Peppa 1 part of 4 equals 16 chocolates. Dave 1 part of 4 equals 16 chocolates. Ray 2 parts of 4 equals 32 chocolates. 16 plus 16 plus 32 is 64. So the answers are correct.